If it wasn't for my son, Nicholas, I don't know if I would have survived it. And that is like such a scary thing to say out loud.
I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, Dorothy Cascerceri Simone. She's host of That Greenwich Life, is also a content producer, a travel writer, an infertility awareness advocate, a mom, and so many other things. So what was the moment that repositioned you into the present?
I think I was like in my pajamas. I just walked around and I just repeated over and over again, all of this is happening for me. All of this is happening for me. And I just repeated it over and over again with every step that I took. And from that moment forward, I shed this heavy-duty victim mentality that I had been living with my entire life.
And Gemma is your rainbow miracle story,
Yep.
right?
I can't believe that she is here. I can't believe it. I am so unbelievably lucky. Like, if I won the lottery at the highest level, this is better. We were all taught to never give up and to just keep going and white-knuckle things, and we were misled. It's actually in the letting go and it's in the surrender that I think gifts show up beyond anything we could have ever dreamed of.
So we're going to dive in and she's going to tell you more about all the things. Dorothy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Natalie.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for being here.
I love your show and it's such an honor to be here.
Oh my gosh, likewise, I love your show.
Thank you.
By the way, what was the inspiration behind That Greenwich Life?
Oh my gosh, such a great question. It really started as an Instagram thing where I would always create these reels and do all of this content around living in Greenwich. And I say content, but it really wasn't really like planned content. It was just my life. And I just had fun showing all of the exciting things that we do in Greenwich, because it's not a typical place to live. And there's no day that is just kind of a typical suburban day. And so I just kind of made up this thing like, well, you know, just out here living that Greenwich life. And the whole kind of tongue-in-cheek part of it was to reflect the fact that we live in this place of crazy, crazy abundance and excess and wealth, with Lamborghinis driving down the street, which I didn't grow up that way. But then also there is this realness to it, and not for everybody, but my goal, right? My goal, especially with our community and then the larger world, is like, what if we just talk about the hard things that everyone's carrying, and that will all make us feel more connected and just kind of let people let their guards down for a second. Because you know Greenwich, like a lot of places, people can kind of just be hiding behind their Gucci sunglasses on a lot of things.
Right, in their Instagram filtered page.
Correct. I am guilty of using a filter, but every so often, most times.
I didn't even mean literally,
Yeah.
but I meant like all of the perfect pictures that
Yes.
don't share the behind
Correct.
the scenes.
Correct.
And so to that end, when did you move to New York City?
So I moved to New York City shortly after I graduated college, probably 2 years after I graduated college. I grew up in Philly. I went to school at George Washington University and down in D.C. I worked at a daily newspaper outside of Philly, and then moved to the city to work in celebrity news. That's what I was doing throughout, my senior year of college. And then when I graduated, and then I worked for People magazine, and then I got a full-time job here and moved up to the city. And I think that was 2005.
Oh, wow.
So I really actually, oh God, everybody that I know in Philly is gonna like hate me right now, but I really identify so much more with being a New Yorker than really being a Philly girl these days, because my heart is just so much a part of New York City. I met my husband here. I had my first baby here, and it's just a huge part of my life.
When did you make that transition over to That Greenwich Life?
Yeah, so when my son was 1, so about 9 years ago, I moved to Greenwich, which is crazy to say, because it feels like I just got there, didn't know a single soul. I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably in shock from leaving the city and then being in the suburbs, even though I grew up in a suburb. I haven't always been like a metropolitan girl. But yeah, it's wild how our journey has just kind of grown in Greenwich, and how much I've grown to love living there and the people there and just everything about it.
Okay, let's talk about growing to love. I moved over to Greenwich in 2021. So my question for you is, what was that initial reaction to moving to Greenwich, and why did you move to Greenwich? And I'm asking you that because I don't know about you, but I had this fear that I was going to be walking into the scene of a Stepford Wives movie.
Yes. Yes. So did I. Initially, when we started looking at all of the suburbs of New York City, I mean, we looked everywhere. We looked at probably, I don't know, 150 to 200 houses. I am not exaggerating. We didn't know where we wanted to be. And when we heard about Greenwich, we had no ties to Greenwich. We didn't really know anyone who lived there. We thought, oh gosh, Greenwich, like we'll never fit in there. And yeah, we ended up going to see it. It was like the last place that we ended up going to check out. And immediately I said to my husband, we actually, one of the rare times that my husband and I agreed immediately with one another was when we got to Greenwich. And we immediately looked at each other and said, this is where we're going to move. This is where we belong. This is the kind of place that we love. Yes, it does have kind of somewhat of a Stepford wife, vibe to it in different pockets of people.
Different pockets,
okay?
Totally.
You can't, what people don't understand about Greenwich is that you actually cannot generalize about Greenwich and about the people and especially about the women and have that generalization be accurate because it really means so many different things. And there are all types of women there. And for me, for my husband too, it felt like an extension of New York City. Like Greenwich Avenue feels like an extension of New York City in terms of just, the restaurants and the shopping. And you just have all of the amenities in Greenwich that you had in New York City, plus, of course, the country clubs. And I say it like that.
And it's so much cleaner.
Yes, it is much cleaner. But yeah, we loved it. We thought it was so beautiful. And we just felt like it was a place that we could really grow to love. And the first couple months there were really, really hard, especially for me, not my husband, because he was in the city commuting and working. And I, at that time, had taken a step back from my career totally by choice. I was so burnt out. But even so, after working for so long and grinding and hustling and working for all the celebrity magazines, and I was on like every single TV show talking about celebrities, and then built my own production company where I worked with all the brands before 20-year-olds are doing it on Instagram in their mom's basement and making millions of dollars. I was the OG influencer, taking all the brands on TV shows around the country and talking about them before Instagram was even a thing. Maybe there was MySpace, maybe.
Oh my gosh, MySpace.
Yeah. MySpace.
Wow.
I know, the song. You can never forget like that song when you log on. Anybody under the age of 30 is totally scratching their head right now. Like what?
Like what are they
what
even
are these people talking about?
and as you're saying that, like I'm jogging my memory. Like, did I ever actually delete my account? It doesn't exist anymore, right?
I don't think so, but that would be an amazing relic to unearth.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like an old Hotmail account that got abandoned so many moons ago. Like, I do wonder. I'm sure it disappeared at this point.
It had to have, right?
And also, like, what emails did I miss that probably were like such a fun, like, blast from the past? Anyway, wow. Okay. Yeah.
We're showing our age, and I like that about us because I love our age.
I do too.
I love our age.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about being a 40-something person. Like, new lease on life. Like, what would you tell your 30-year-old self now that we are more mature and wiser?
Oh my gosh. That girl was a hot mess. She definitely was clueless, even though she thought she knew everything, right? But she was definitely clueless, and she was so hard on herself. Wow. Like, she had so many negative things to say about herself and her, career never being enough, and doing, the Today Show, and, the hair was out of place, or she said this word the wrong way, and then she couldn't let it go the entire day. So glad that she and I have parted ways.
So did you actually have those moments where you were in your head post recording or on air something? You did.
I didn't have moments where I was in my head. I was in my head constantly about
why
everything.
But why? Like what is it about you, or what is it about sort of the industry that made you feel that way?
I really, like, throughout most of my life until I hit this brick wall
Mm-hmm.
with something absolutely terrible that happened to me. What was that, 5 years ago? I was so type A and such a perfectionist. And I was so hard on myself. I didn't know how to really be gentle with myself. I didn't really know how to be gentle maybe with anyone. I mean, I'm sure many friends of mine would disagree and say like that I have been a great friend to them and I'm always the person that people come to, and I'm kind of like the resident, therapist, even though I never did that. I never actually formally got trained, but I was just rough. I was just really rough around the edges and had all the charisma and all the energy and all the pep, but was really in kind of a darker place, I think, within myself and riddled with anxiety. And I think it was just probably a product of being for a lot of my life feeling like I was in survival mode and just, always trying to get to the next thing. And, I think it's not until the ground is completely pulled out from under us that we have to take a good look at who we are and how we're operating and how we're energetically interacting with the world around us to make those changes.
1000%. And you said something to me just now about it takes that moment to really redefine like who we really are because we're in our survival mode. So when you talk about survival mode, I don't know about you, but I used to believe I'll enjoy it when I
Correct.
do this.
Correct.
I'll enjoy it when I get there. I get that. And then it was a constant, like the cheese kept moving. Like
Yep.
I feel like I was moving my own cheese. What was it for you? Why were you in survival mode? And if you don't mind, would you share about the perspective building moment that took you out of being in survival mode and bringing you into the present?
Yeah. Yeah. You said it so well. And the fact that you mentioned bringing me into the present, I lacked, like, there were things probably up until, my late 30s, things that I knew nothing about, like presence, mindfulness, the power of deep breathing,
Mm-hmm.
meditation. I mean, I did yoga throughout my 20s, just because I wanted to like have a hot body, and I've always been like a very spiritual person. I mean, I was raised like very, Catholic, and I went to Catholic elementary school and, middle school. And then I went to all girls private Catholic high school. And that gives like pretty much, that's all you need to know pretty much about me. That like explains entirely my personality.
Were you guilt-ridden?
I was totally guilt-ridden, but also like I was a wild child. Like,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was wild. I was always just living life on the edge and just rebellious.
Yeah.
Like, but on the surface, the good little goody two-shoes, getting all the good grades and captain of the volleyball team and president of student council and, going with all of the boys' schools to all of their proms. Like, on the surface, I was perfect and I had the, perfect life and I was the perfect daughter and the perfect everything. Deep down, I think there was like a tremendous amount of people pleasing and just searching like the cheese, like just grasping for anybody to love me, anybody to, especially when it came to like being single and dating. And I was just broken. Like I was a broken person for a long time of my life. That's not to say that I was a terrible person.
Not at all.
I certainly had my moments, but I was just broken. I was in therapy for so much of my life and I was trying to, feel peace and I was trying to feel just, calm, and I was feeling neither, like ever. I never even knew how people could not flip out if something, minor happened. So it was just like, I always say that, I shed that version of myself a long time ago, but then I was corrected by a friend of mine who specializes in human design. And she said to me, Dorothy, you didn't you didn't shed a version of yourself. You returned
That's
to who you actually
I love that.
were born into the world as. Before all of the people and the circumstances and the things made you and taught you to become this other version of yourself.
Yeah.
And that was so profound.
That is so profound.
It's wild. And it gave me a lot of comfort, actually, when she told me that. But yeah, I mean, I was always chasing the next thing and what was going to make me happy. Listen, I was happy on the outside. I was happy. I was traveling nonstop. I was dating all these hot guys. Like I had the dream career at the height of celebrity news. I was with Paris Hilton and Kim Kardashian, and I was out every night doing at all the hot clubs. I was living like the dream life. But inside, I was so unhappy and emotionally constantly spiraling and lashing out and just totally out of control.
So is there a moment that brought you back to this realization that you weren't happy?
You know, when my son was born and I became a mom, that was such an incredible moment. Looking back, I would say that was one of the happiest moments of my life. But I think at the time and the years following, I wondered like how people say that. Like when my child was born, it was the happiest moment, you know, because for me, I suffered from, you know, some undiagnosed postpartum for sure. And I also had a really hard time, even though I had this amazing baby that I wanted so much and I was so happy to have him, I had a really hard time figuring out like who I was then. And, you know, what are the things that make me feel like me? Because this is a totally different kind of person. And I don't know how I feel in her shoes. And so it was, you know, again, a lot of emotional instability and lashing out and just kind of, you know, crying a lot and just kind of acting a little erratic. You know, the things that don't kill us make us stronger. It's such a cliche, but it is the absolute truth. When I got pregnant with my second baby, our son Dean, we were settled into Greenwich. We had bought our house. My son was 3 years old. He was in a great preschool. We were part of that community. Everything was falling into place. Like we got pregnant so easily. And I had so many friends that went through, you know, years of infertility. So I didn't take it for granted. Like, you know, but there was still like there was still just always an underlying kind of dark cloud for me. And when I got pregnant with him and then we went to do all the tests and everything looked great, I felt like, you know, maybe things are like really falling into place, you know, and like now I can be happy.
You just relax a little bit.
Right, to your point. And then I went to my 20-week anatomy scan and we had our son with us and it was the nightmare of my life. It was the nightmare of our life. I just did a podcast last week and when I started talking about this, I just like completely broke down. Like tears just came out of nowhere. And hopefully I got that like all out of my system last week.
And if you didn't, it's okay.
Yeah, but no, at the end of the anatomy scan, like everything was great. And then at the very end, they're like, we can't get a really good look at the heart. And then they did. And I mean, just like talk about like an entire world just coming crashing down. We went to all the specialists and we, you know, looked into it further and it was the most horrible. I mean, it wasn't the most horrible time of my life because I can't even pinpoint like one time, but like this entire situation for sure, you know, from the diagnosis to trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we fix it, you know? And
what was the diagnosis? What happened?
He had a congenital heart defect that was a marker for a very rare syndrome that came with so many other much, much larger reaching problems, you know, that like huge immunity problems that could never support one open heart surgery, let alone multiple.
Oh my gosh.
And then finding out that, you know, surgery wasn't really even going to be an option for him. Yeah, it just was, I need to take like a deep breath really quick because I can tell like my nervous system is getting so overloaded. Yeah.
You're allowed. But I mean, this is hard. And you must have been faced with the most difficult question and just next step of your entire life.
Yeah, beyond. I mean, just like a true nightmare. For our situation, it was so black and white. that we really didn't have a choice because he really just didn't. He really didn't have like pulmonary arteries. So by the time that he was born and he needed like his lungs to actually breathe, because in utero, of course, they don't. There was really going to be no way to make that happen for him. And yeah, it was horrific and like just so earth-shattering. And as every single day, like he's a part of, like, just this morning, I opened the door to the back deck to let our dog in, and there was this like huge monarch butterfly, like just circling like really, really close to the door. And it kind of like circled around and then it came back and circled around and came back. And like I always say, like I see him in butterflies because they just like, they always like find me. I don't know if I'm ever going to tell the story and like not cry, because it was just such a horrific situation. Like I would never wish it on my worst enemy. I went through like terrible physical trauma and terrible emotional trauma. And I was diagnosed with PTSD and I was so unwell. You think at the time, like, this is the worst thing I've ever gone through. And like, I will get through this. I don't know how and I don't know when, but I will, and it could never, nothing worse than this could ever happen, at least not at this moment, right? And then cumulatively, the trauma just built and built and built because we wanted so much to have a baby, especially since we came home from the hospital with no baby. And, we couldn't get pregnant. And we, did IVF and we had what we thought was some success. And then every step that we took, it was like we just kept getting dropped on our heads, like from higher and higher drop points. And it didn't make any sense. And nobody knew why. And by the way, what happened with our son was, it was an anomaly. It could happen to, because of course you blame yourself, right? Like, I'm in my late 30s, like I waited too long to have my second. It's because I'm old, and this particular diagnosis was not age related. It was not like when you get older, you have increased risk of Down syndrome or anything like that. It was not age related. A 20-year-old getting pregnant and a 40-year-old have the exact same chances of this diagnosis. And it had nothing to do with me or my husband. In 90% of cases of this diagnosis, it has nothing to do with either of the parents. It's just random. So we were assured that we would have no trouble getting pregnant again because we hadn't, and we would have a baby. And, this is like the way that the old version of me thought, right? Like, void, fill the void, right off into the sunset. Right. And healing it's not that easy.
It's not linear.
Nope, it's not linear. And it takes deep, hard work. And the old version of me didn't really see life and the world that way. Like, she was just kind of like quick fix, right? And we went through so much more loss. Nothing to that extent. But when you go through IVF and you're doing everything and you have nothing to show for it.
I've been there. It's awful.
It's awful.
It's so awful. And so just going back for a moment with Dean.
Yeah.
It's beautiful that you named your son, Dean. In that situation, when this happens to someone, to a couple, the options are to what? Stillborn versus medically terminate? Is that those are the only options?
The options are to give birth, and then elect for what do they call it? Comfort care.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So like there's never really a happy ending with this.
No.
This is
not for this.
So
not
rough.
for this. And it, that's not to say that, every single child with this defect, has the same route, but this was the situation for us. You never think that you're in a position. I mean, I marched in like the pro-life march in high school, at my like all-girls private Catholic school. I eventually kind of moved on from a lot of things about Catholicism and what it teaches. And it's realized that I actually, was pro-choice far before this. But But yeah, no, I mean, total nightmare. Total nightmare.
And you still had to show up and be a mom to your eldest at the
Yep.
same
Yep.
time.
He was 3.5 years old. Yeah, 3.5. And also there's so many like trains of grief that ran on, parallel to the track that we were on, where my son was only 3, but he was so excited about his brother coming.
Sure.
And I was showing, I was like, he was kicking, and so to deal with that,
It's heartbreaking.
oh my gosh, that was
On different
its
levels.
own. Because as a mother, you never ever want to see your child suffer,
No.
and that was its own hell. And then I had, a third trauma happening, which was this very, very difficult and confusing unraveling of certain key people in my life who leaned out instead of in at a time that we really were at rock bottom. People who were biological family,
Wow.
and
Wow.
yeah. And like, a few friends, but, I can count on one hand the people that fall into this category. And I could spend all day and weeks and months counting the people who showed up and then some for us through the years of this. I mean, we spent years going under anesthesia, having another procedure, another retrieval, another transfer, another round of follistim, another round of Menopur, more ultrasounds. Like I even got pregnant without any of the IVF at one of the points when we took a break. And I thought, like, this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. And then that ended up, I mean, that was an absurd situation, but that ended up like the day before we were leaving for a trip that my husband surprised me with to go to Croatia for my 40th birthday. We had been getting all great scans and everything was so great. And we went in and they were just like, yeah, sorry, there's no heartbeat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no. And then I was in the hospital the next day instead of on a plane to Croatia, with having a D&C. It was like my body went through so much, and it completely changed me. I didn't know. I really, really, really didn't know if I was going to survive it. I really didn't. I get emotional talking about this because my son, if it wasn't for my son, Nicholas, I don't know if I would have survived it. I don't know if I would have. And that is like such a scary thing to say out loud. But I understood. I understood in those like darkest of days. I understood like my marriage was a complete and utter disaster. Like we had just been through so much. It was so much stress. There was the pandemic in the midst of all this. And I just really wasn't sure if it was worth it to keep going, just in life. And I realized that, that was all something that happened for me. It didn't happen to me. Like I needed it all to happen because it made me just, fix my nervous system. It made me fix my nervous system. It made me rewrite, the person that I was. I lost my voice for a little bit, not like actually, but just in terms of putting myself out there. I just had to like really kind of, die in a way. Thank God, like not really die.
But die to be reborn again.
Correct.
There's a term for that, and it's
the dark night of the soul.
Dark night of the soul. Yes.
Yep. This was my dark night of the soul. Pitch black.
And you literally like lost your interest and your wherewithal to actually like share your voice.
Yeah. I lost every single like piece of me, I feel like. I was still trying to have some semblance of a regular life because I had a child.
Because you had to do it for your son.
And
you wanted to. Of course, you wanted to show up for him. He was your everything.
Yes. But, I would like put on my, cute outfit and go to the country club for the big summer party, probably like drink way too much and dance and, like everything's fine. And, I kind of had to though, right?
But two truths, right? Like
it's both.
You can do two things at once. And sometimes to your point, you're in survival mode and you really went back to your survival mode.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I was like one day at a time.
So what was the moment, the experience that repositioned you into the present?
I think it was when I went on a grief retreat.
You went on a grief retreat.
Yes.
Wow.
I went on a grief retreat to the Himalayan Institute. Have you ever been there?
No, tell me
It's
more.
wild. It's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's probably like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours from Greenwich. We're not talking about like Miraval, okay? Like we're not talking about anything super fancy. It's a very basic retreat house. You have to request if you want a private room with your own bathroom. A lot of people go and they share a room or they use the hall bathroom. I did get my own room with my own bathroom, but it's very bare bones. It's very clean. They serve the most like incredible Ayurvedic food. And there was a woman who owns a yoga studio in Conshohocken, which is a suburb of Philadelphia where my friend lives. This woman changed my life 100%. She did this grief retreat, yoga for grief. And I went on this retreat and it was a lot of yoga, but it wasn't the kind of yoga where like people are trying to have six-pack abs. You know what I mean? Everybody on that retreat had their own story and their own form of grief and something had happened in their life. And it ran the gamut. And this place, the Himalayan Institute, also has a shrine. I went out like when it was still pitch black out the one morning. And I went out to the shrine and I got locked out of the building. And I couldn't figure out how to get into the shrine. And like the sun started coming up and there's this thing that you do where you walk counterclockwise like 3 times around the shrine, around the outside of it. And you like set an intention through all of the activities and all the things, like the little workshop type things that we did on this retreat. I healed something so, so deep within myself that came even way before losing Dean. And I also, healed a lot of the grief of the trauma that had happened to me. And it was in walking around that shrine, like, with like the sun coming up and being locked out of all of these buildings and it was freezing cold. It was like the middle of February.
That sounds rough.
Yeah, I think I was like in my pajamas. I just walked around and I just repeated over and over again, all of this is happening for me. All of this is happening for me. And I just repeated it over and over again with every step that I took. And from that moment forward, I shed this heavy-duty victim mentality that I had been living with my entire life. That everybody was doing something to me. Everything was an affront to me. Anything that didn't work out in my favor, like, I didn't get my way. And I just came to this place of like radical acceptance. I wasn't happy with any of it. I was so, annoyed about all of it. And I was so depressed and I was so upset with certain people in my family of origin. And I just, at that point, I don't know, I came to this acceptance that, you know what, like, screw it. I got to just keep going.
Wow. That's profoundly beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for it. Like, so grateful for it. Like Carrie Hanlon, she's my girl forever and ever. I love her till the day I die. She did everything for me in that retreat. But that situation, all of it did everything for me, truly. I needed it. I needed like a good, swift kick in the ass.
So by you being able to show up for yourself now, how did that change how you were able to show up for your son and your husband?
Yeah, I mean, I just became like the best mom that there ever was. And I do think despite a lot of my inner demons, I do think that the one thing that I have really gotten right in my life is being a mom. Even, from 10 years ago, the day that my son was born, when I still kind of hadn't gone through all of this and like really kind of come into this like much better, more comfortable version of myself. The interesting challenge after that retreat. And, it wasn't just that, right? It was a lot of things. It was meditation that I had started doing. It was EMDR therapy that I started doing to deal with all of my trauma. It was regular cognitive behavioral therapy. It was, a million different modalities that helped with my healing. That retreat definitely set me, it kind of like set me on a good path. But the challenge then became, oh my gosh, like my husband is so triggering to me because he still is like way back there with his growth. Like he's way back there with his growth and his healing, and his nervous system is still firing on every single cylinder at every single minute, like 5-alarm fire, the smallest, tiniest thing. But that never felt weird to me because that's how I was too. We were the same. So then the real challenge became, how do you live with somebody that is like constantly pissing you off?
So what did you do?
Or
did the both of you do, I should say?
So it took time. It took a lot of time. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of hard work.
But he was willing to show up and do the work.
Theoretically, but, in practice, it was like trying to get, a kid to clean their room. It was just a lot of really, really hard work. And it was a lot of time of me constantly just having to be like, I'm breathing, like, how about we take a deep breath right now? Everything's fine. Everyone's safe. And that like pissed him off, right? Like nobody wants another person who's supposed to be like their equal, coaching them through having like a freak out over something stupid like traffic.
Totally.
That's more irritating.
Totally get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're trying to do this not only for your well-being, for the sake of the greater relationship, and again, for your child.
100%. Yes. And so it was a crazy few years. It really was.
How'd you get him to agree to do anything?
Probably just when things got really bad.
You were like, it's either this or we're done.
I think probably just when things got really bad. I was just like, you know what? Like my parents are divorced. His parents are divorced. We both come from divorced families. Divorce, was and is never a real option for us. Never say never. Maybe if something totally wild happened, if he had like some girlfriend, like on the long-term girlfriend on the side.
A guma?
Like, yeah, exactly. A guma. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you are Italian,
yes,
so I figured.
That is true. The guma, exactly. It was just kind of to the point where I was like, we can't be together. Like, we can't be together anymore because this is absurd. Like, we don't get along. Like, we don't see eye to eye on anything. We don't see the world the same way. We are like complete strangers living under one roof and, in constant conflict. And also like your very existence is totally messing up my healing journey. Like you're like, just your energy. You don't even have to say a word. Your energy in the room is completely setting me back. And I'm like hanging on by a thread here, just trying to be better and better and better every single day. And we were still going through all the IVF.
Oh my God, that's so hard.
Yeah. So, it's funny, just this past Mother's Day, he was like, what do you want to do for Mother's Day? And I said, I just want to do something like really chill. I don't want to be dressed up. I don't want to wear makeup. I don't want to wear heels. I don't want to go out to like a nice brunch. I don't want somewhere with like a prefix menu. I don't want anything fancy. I just want to be together in nature with the kids. I want the dog to be with us and just have like a nice meal somewhere, whatever. And so he surprised me and we went to Kent Falls, which is like this beautiful waterfall and this like great hike. And it was amazing. And it was such a great day. And then we went to this like hole in the wall, like very cool restaurant called like, the GW, the George Washington, I don't know what it was. Very chill, very cool. Went back, on our way home, stopped on Greenwich Avenue at Van Leeuwen and got ice cream. And like, that was the day. And I said to him initially, like, I don't need a Mother's Day gift. Like, honestly, there's nothing that I need. I love my life. I have everything that I need. If I need something, I'll go out and buy it, And then he like surprised me with like these really pretty earrings and this necklace. And I wrote him this like message the next day. And I was like so proud of myself. And it was just the right thing. It was the right thing to do. And it was what I wanted to do. And I was just basically like, thank you so much for yesterday. It was so beautiful. It was exactly what I wanted. Mother's Day has always been such a loaded gun for me for many, many years because of my own mother. And then, for many, many years because of my infertility and my loss and everything. And it has never been like a happy holiday for me. Maybe in the last like 3 years, I would say it has. And the healing, continues. But I was just like, thank you so much, really, like not for the necklace and not for the anything else, but just for like, really being there for me for all of this time and showing up, and also for working so hard on yourself and getting to the place where you are. Because like, I cannot even believe for a second, I don't even recognize us in the past. I can't believe for a second that we have healed ourselves so much and our marriage and our relationship. And like, now here we are, and we just are the luckiest friggin' people in the entire world. And we worked hard on it, but it was the truth, because that's what I felt most grateful for.
It's so beautiful.
It's wild.
And Gemma.
Yeah, I know.
Is your rainbow miracle story, right?
Yep.
Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, she, oh my gosh, she is, I can't believe that she is here. I can't believe it. I am so unbelievably lucky. Like, if I won the lottery at the highest level that it was at, like, this is better. This is better. Like, keep the check, give it to somebody else. This is better. We had, just done our 5th round of IVF in a very short amount of time. And we had no embryos frozen. And we had spent probably, with our insurance, it helped, but we had probably spent like close to like, maybe $75,000 or something on all of it. Which is not a lot, because our insurance did help. Actually, 75 is probably not the right number. It's definitely over 100K.
It had to be.
Yeah, it was over 100K.
I'm thinking about, because I unfortunately
it was over 100K.
Can really, yeah.
Because we had to pay for one cycle out of pocket. And listen, like, you're so grateful that that you have the money to do it, but it's not like we had it and it's just lying around and we don't need it for anything else.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we live in Greenwich, but like, we don't have a horse, in our backyard, or even a tennis court, or we don't even have a pool in our backyard, like.
You're not like billionaire status with fuck you money.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
We're regular Greenwich people.
Right. I hear you. Yes.
We had gone through 5 rounds, and we had nothing to show for it, except for like more miscarriages, more DNCs, like way more trauma, more confusion, more frustration. And, when the 5th round, when the doctor called and was like, yeah, so sorry, we only got 2 eggs, which was like the lowest it had been for all of the rounds. We got like 15 eggs in one of the rounds. And this was like, we got 2 eggs. And, then overnight, I guess, in the lab, the embryos just like arrested. And so like, you had nothing to show for it. I was like, well.
It's devastating.
I knew that this was probably not going to be the 5th and, final magic thing, but I didn't know it was going to go this bad. Like, I didn't know it was going to be this level of fuckery.
Yeah, it's so awful. I'm so sorry.
And I was just like.
It's such a mind fuck too, every single
time.
Because your hopes are so high.
Beyond. And I was like, okay. I was like, well. No one's listening to me, but clearly I am going into early menopause. Like, I, at this point, was 40. And, that doesn't sound young. Doesn't sound old either.
No, I feel like it's come on, it's young
but from
these
a
days.
fertility standpoint.
I
can't
there
believe
are plenty of 40-year-olds.
How old I felt throughout that process. I never felt old in my whole life. And throughout that process, I felt like some washed up, old, decrepit granny.
Well, the hormones talk about fuckery.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the statistics and like, everything.
And Clomid.
Oh my gosh, no. All of it.
Oh my gosh.
For me, it was the Lupron.
The Lupron is the devil's drug.
Lupron is the devil's drug.
The hot flashes, the night sweats. Isn't it so messed up during IVF that you actually, so first of all, that you're even on any sort of like birth control, and then later on, they put you into an induced, quote unquote, menopause.
Yep.
It's like all so messed up. It's completely contrary, and your body literally screams, what the fuck?
100%.
Like you're saying this, and I'm going back in time and reliving it in my own brain, and it's
You probably
really
blocked
hard.
a lot of it out, right?
I did, but then when you talk about it, it seamlessly comes right back.
Comes right back.
Yeah.
Right. And you remember it like it was yesterday.
Of course. It's so easy because your body doesn't forget. It holds on to that energy.
100%. 100%.
Oh, it's so rough.
So after that one, I was just like, okay, sorry, but this has got to be done now. Like, we've got to be done now. Like, I wasn't ready to be done. I wasn't ready to give up on having another baby. No. Like I still wanted another baby desperately.
Yeah.
I used to go into our guest room and just like sit in the glider, the rocker in there that used to be in our apartment on East 9th Street when Nicholas was born, you know, and it sat in our guest room and I used to sit in there like I used to just like sit there like in the dark and just like, you know, just sit there and just cry, you know, like for hours. Like this is where he was supposed to be. Like this is literally, I'm like, how is this a friggin' guest room still? At that point though, I was like, no, sorry, this is over. This is over. And my husband was like, you know, like we were still young. We could still try like, you know, without IVF. And I was like, I can't go through one more death in my body. I can't go through like, we're going to try on our own and then what? And then I'm going to birth like a 5-headed monkey. Like, you know, like, no, this doesn't work. This is just not in the cards for us.
Yeah.
And I, you know, had grieved and done so much grieving. And, you know, clearly, you know, I still grieve. But I at that point was like, no, I need to find a way to move forward. Don't know how, don't want to, super mad that I have to. I wouldn't say super angry because I had come to terms with a lot of my anger at that point, but like, really, I mean, after all that,
right,
we're just gonna like walk away and that's it. And I told my husband, like, no, it's over. I was literally on the beach at Island Beach. My son was in camp and we did like a little day date and we went to Island Beach. And I just remember telling him like, sorry, dude, but time's up. You know, like maybe your second wife, you know, maybe you can find some like hot little young biddy and, you know, maybe your second wife, you know, you can have another baby with, but it ain't going to be me.
You were being serious? You were like literally thinking that?
No, I was joking, but
okay,
but
good.
Also,
I'm
like,
glad. I wasn't sure where you were in your relationship at that point. I was like, well,
oh
shit.
yeah, no, sorry, no. Our relationship actually at that point was healthy, and we had gotten to a good place.
Great.
And we were on a day date at Island Beach drinking rosé together. But yeah, so I was joking, and I remember he went into the water, and like I know him, and he was like super cagey and really like having a hard time processing it, and then he came back and he was just like, you know, I just don't think that we have to like, you know, give up. And I'm like, dude, like I'm going to die. Like I might die. The suicidal thoughts going through this are a lot. And it's, you know, I'm here. And so let's just kind of stay with that.
Yeah.
You know, let's stay with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm
your
not,
mental health.
Like I'm okay. Like I'm okay. I'm not broken. Like I am broken, but like time to now repair. No more trauma. And that was like March, that was like April, May. I guess it was like June, the beginning of June that we were at Island Beach. And then July, I like, you know, was just going about my life, going about my business. And I was like, I don't know if I've gotten my period. Like, have I gotten it? It's probably coming. And then positive pregnancy test.
Oh my gosh. And what went through your mind when you got a positive pregnancy test?
Like, I'm not excited.
Because you were waiting for the other shoe to drop?
No, like I'm not gonna, come on. How many times have I been pregnant?
Right.
Like, and my arms are still empty. Like the guest room is still a guest room.
Yeah.
Cool. I literally was like, cool. Now what?
Yeah.
Like what now? Because I've gone through like every iteration of loss and pain that a mother can hold. So like, what's it gonna be now? Like, is this baby gonna be like, am I going to carry this baby to term and then find out that like the baby died?
So you were waiting for the other shoe.
But I knew so many people. Like I knew so many people who had stillborn angels. And it was like so fresh in my mind. And I was like, what's the next thing? What's it going to be? And, you know, I just kind of like went through that pregnancy. Like I treated myself like my own surrogate. I went into my ultrasounds. I wore my noise canceling headphones. And I was like, just, you know, just let me know. Like, let me know at the end of the ultrasound what you think. You know?
You're totally unattached or trying to be.
Totally. Like, I told my friends, okay, I didn't keep it a secret. I was like, okay, just so that you all know, I'm going to tell you something. Do not make a face. Do not like, you know, clap. Don't do a goddamn thing. Just the information is now. Now you have the information. I'm imparting it to you, but like, that's it. Don't think you're going to be a good friend and ask me how it's going. You're going to be a good friend by just zipping it. And I went from like this, you know, desperate kind of like, you know, person to like get closeness with people and love with people and talk about everything with people, to realizing that it might not be healthy to have the world as your therapist all the time.
Mm.
And yeah, I am really open on That Greenwich Life, and I am really open on Instagram, but in a way that's different than it was like when I was a kid growing up. And, you know, my nursery school teacher, I always tell the story, always told my mom, like, when my parents were going through like a brutal divorce, like, Dorothy will always be fine. The world is her therapist. And that's how I lived my life for so long. And now I realize that, like, when something happens on a level, you know, scale of 1 to 10, whether it's a 1 or a 10, I don't have to like quick pick up the phone and start dialing every single person that I know to like have them help talk me through it. Like, no, I'm good now.
You don't need the validation.
No, I don't. I don't need the help. Like, I need the help. I need my friends. I need, you know, people in my life. No, I'm able to actually regulate my nervous system myself now.
What was the main turning point that allowed you to regulate your nervous system? Is there a tool that you found that you would suggest to others?
Yeah, it was my therapist at the time. The EMDR therapist that I had, she healed a lot of the trauma in my brain. Like,
so the tapping?
The tapping, right. And the light moves back and forth too. You follow the light with your eyes.
Okay.
She organized a lot of the physical trauma. But my other therapist, who is based in Stanford, she helped with a lot of the emotional trauma and the trauma that happened before I even ever became a mom or lost a baby. The thing that she taught me about was really the breathing and the knowing that you're safe, that you're okay. You're not out in the like Stone Ages being chased by a lion, right? Because like that's how our nervous systems were built. Like, you are okay. And differentiating, like, in what situations do I need to freak out and scream and yell for a lot of people to come help me and save me? And in what situations can I help and save myself? And she really helped me reparent myself. And she really helped me with my relationship with myself. And that's where it changed. That's where it all changed. I, you know, got to a place where like I was nice to myself. Like I would be like I am to my friends. I started treating myself like I do my friends and talking to myself like I do my friends. And once she was able to disrupt a lot of those inner loops, you know, mental loops, I was able to realize how to deal with the grief and process the grief and just how to deal with any situation and know that I had a choice.
My gosh, that must make you such a much better mom as a result. I'm sure you already were, but now it's probably effortless, right?
I only like kind of freak out and like start yelling if two situations. If I have to tell my son something, like, you know, if I get to like the fourth time of having to tell him the same thing, that's when my voice is going to get loud. But that's actually kind of by choice, I think. Or if I'm like really like in a time crunch, if I'm in like a crazy time crunch, I can, you know, kind of flip out a little bit and my anxiety can really rage. But I try to avoid that because in all of this, I learned how to better organize my time and how to better, you know, use my time and how to more consciously and mindfully choose every single minute or say 5 or 10 minute block is precious. And you have to decide how you're going to spend it. And I was spending a lot of my time people pleasing and just doing what others wanted me to do or like avoiding conflict. And now I don't go looking for conflict, but now I just really try to stay true to what's good for me. And I tell people that, you know, like, listen, it's okay. You do you. Like, I'm going to do me, you know, and I'm so much more authentically me and who I am now. And it feels amazing and I'm at peace. And, you know, I had to unravel a very, very tight group of people. I had to unravel from that. People that were in my life for all of my life, that there was a lot of toxicity and a lot of just pure chaos in order to now be where I am. It's wild. It's been the craziest journey. I'm so grateful for it.
And you're grateful for it.
Beyond.
And I love that you said these things happened for you, not to you.
Yeah. I have pain in my heart. I have grief. I will forever grieve Dean. I will forever grieve the relationships with people, a college friend, you know, a sibling, a parent, where those relationships are no longer. I will always like feel that, and cry about it and feel sad about it. But, I live with it.
Two truths, right? And you can also be happy. And
Right.
you're happy. You're happy in your family, in your life, in your world.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you were going to share parting words with the universe of women, what would it be?
100%. We were all taught to never give up and to just keep going and white knuckle things. And we were misled. It's actually in the letting go and it's in the surrender that I think gifts show up beyond anything we could have ever dreamed of. I know for me, it took a lot to say, okay, I'm going to walk away. I got lucky. I had my daughter. Not every woman that goes through infertility that makes that decision to walk away ends up with that. And so that makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that not every woman has that ending to their story. But there are still so many gifts. And that goes for anything, not just infertility.
1,000%.
Any difficult thing that anybody is going through at this moment in time or in the future, if you just surrender and let it take you and let it lead you, not where you want to go, where it wants you to go, you would be surprised at how your entire life opens up and everything unfolds exactly how it is meant for you.
Dorothy, that is so beautiful.
That's how I feel in my heart.
Thank you so much for
I think
sharing.
it's easy for me to say, though, and I always say that, it's easy for me to say because I have my perfect daughter.
It's easy for you to say now because you did the work to get there.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding that you have your beautiful daughter and your second child, but you did a lot of work to get there for yourself.
Yeah.
And to appreciate what you have now.
Yeah.
So
it definitely was not handed to me, that's for sure.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, you were amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me, Natalie. And thank you for creating this really zen, comfortable space for me to share all of this so honestly.
Thank you.